Alright guys, so this is the third part of the three-part series of the potential transfers in and outs of Manchester United. I've already done players out, potential new players coming into the first team, and I guess this is potentially the most exciting part, players coming in. I think a couple of weeks ago now, Daily Mail, amongst other papers, reported that Manchester United were looking for a right back, centre back, winger, midfielder and a striker. I think with recent speculation and form you can probably add a goalkeeper to that. Unfortunately, especially with De Gea having only 18 months left in his contract, I think you can most certainly add a goalkeeper to that list. Oh, that's just horrible to think about, really. De Gea in a Real Madrid shirt. Anyway, I was looking at all the players that Manchester United could sign, we've been linked with. I suppose in every position I've picked out at least 3, 4 and in one case 5 potential players that Manchester United could sign in these 5 positions that I've mentioned. And to get through all that would be far too long, and I know when people look at YouTube and they just see a video that's like 15 minutes, they just go, no, can't be bothered. So I'm going to split it into 2. First video is going to be goalkeepers and defenders, and second video midfielders and strikers. So the best way to just get straight into it. I think our defensive issues have been well established, and even if we sign new defenders in the summer, it's going to take time to adapt. I know some people don't want to hear. It's going to take time for those players to adapt. So I was looking at goalkeepers, and usual suspects, look all around Europe. But I think with such a defence that such a bad record this season, or at least can't be trusted, and De Gea, the goalkeeper, being the one positive part of that, I think the one thing that a new goalkeeper would require is Premier League experience. You'd need to fit in straight away. You couldn't have a settling in period. You just need to be commanding from the very start. So I've picked out 3 goalkeepers, 3 that have all at least been on the bench in the Premier League. The first is probably the most unrealistic of the 3, Petr Cech. I think he has a year left in his contract, possibly 2. He's one of those players that, he's not going to stay number 2 to Courtois forever. And I'm sure he would love the opportunity to come to Manchester United and show Jose and show Chelsea why he shouldn't have been dumped to being second fiddle to Courtois. I think he'd love the opportunity to win trophies with Manchester United. He's very experienced. I don't think he'd be very expensive, 10 million at most. And I know Courtois is the better goalkeeper and De Gea is the better goalkeeper, but I think Petr Cech is not too far behind, and he would bring a lot of experience to, let's face it, a very young backline. Second goalkeeper, Victor Valdés. Obvious choice as he's already at the club. I think what he's got going for him is he has a very similar style to De Gea. Unlike Cech, he mightn't come for crosses so much, so the backline wouldn't have to adjust too much to his style, and I think that's definitely something that would go in his favour. Like Cech, he's been there, won everything, and definitely in the Champions League his experience would be vital. And of course, big thing, he's free. And the third choice is the goalkeeper I'd like to see. It's Tottenham goalkeeper Hugo Lloris. Like any Tottenham player, the big problem with Lloris is Daniel Levy and the price. I think you could look at, when you consider how low or how little of De Gea's contract is left, if you were to sell De Gea and then buy Lloris, I don't think you'd have much change left. I don't think, in my opinion, De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment, so I think maybe just Neuer ahead of him, possibly. So I think any goalkeeper is going to be a slight step down. But like Cech, I think Lloris has lots of Premier League experience, he has lots of international experience. I think he has been the second best goalkeeper in the Premier League, or possibly third, behind De Gea and Courtois. And I think the one thing, he is the Tottenham captain, he is the French captain. I think he brings great leadership qualities, and maybe that's exactly what young players like Rojo, Shaw, McNair, whatever defenders are actually going to avoid the axe during the summer. So anyway, on to defenders. Start with right backs. I've said it before, I think Rafa should play every week, but for whatever reason, Louis van Gaal just does not seem to trust him. So I have to look at right backs, even though, like the goalkeeping situation, I'm very reluctant to do so. First one I want to put forward is Kyle Walker, but straight away probably take him off the list, simply because I don't think there's any hope of us signing 2 players off Tottenham in the one summer. But I do think of the 4 I have down here, he would be the best option. But I do think I'd rather have Lloris than Walker. But again, if Lloris wasn't going to work out, I think Kyle Walker would be a good call to right back, just because he's probably the most Premier League experience of the 4 I mentioned. But at the same time, again, like Lloris, it's Tottenham, it's Daniel Levy, and he's British, or English in particular. He would come at a very big price, 20 million plus, I'd imagine. Second one is Dani Alves. Contract out the end of the summer, so he'd be a free. It'd be great for him to come to the club if Rafa was getting to stay, which I wouldn't see happening, but it would be good for Rafa, a mentor. So I do think one of the things that has gone wrong in Rafa's game is that since Gary Neville retired, he's really been the only out-and-out right back at the club, and I think he's 24. And Gary Neville's been retired a good while now, so he hasn't had and he doesn't get a call up to Brazil squad, so he hasn't had a right back or an older, more experienced player in that position to look up to, and maybe that's why his game has lacked direction and improvement in recent years. Still, at the same time, I still think he is the future. The next one is Nathaniel Klein. Out of the 4 I'm mentioning, I think he is probably the best defensively. Still gets forward a lot. I think he wins a lot of 50-50 challenges. I think he's one of the highest percentages in the Premier League, actually. Listening to the United Stand last night, I was a lot more sure of Klein beforehand. I'm kind of switching now more to Coleman, because as I mentioned, Van Gaal likes his wingers to be very or his fullbacks to be very attacking, and more of the central players to be the defensive unit. So I think Nathaniel Klein is great going forward. He is the modern fullback, but his strength is definitely defensively, as opposed to Coleman, who is, you guessed it, the fourth name down here. I think Coleman's a lot more productive going forward with assists and goals, and yeah, like I said, I think he would fit into the Van Gaal system very well. I can just imagine Coleman down one side, Luke Shaw down the other, and then can you just imagine Di Maria and Coleman down one side? It'd be absolutely devastating for the opposition. I suppose it's kind of hard for me to choose between Klein and Coleman, but maybe just slightly biased towards Coleman. It's nice. I do love seeing a few of the Irish lads in the squad. And last but not least, and possibly most important, is centre halves. We'll probably need 2 realistically. I think one of Evans, Jones and Smalling is gone. Probably Evans. Would not be one bit surprised if the Newcastle game was his last game for the club. So standout name for me, I think, do everything we possibly can to sign him, is Matt Hummels. Great leader. He brings the ball out well. He just he suits Van Gaal down to the ground. I think he's physically strong. He suits the Premier League down to the ground. He won't have Champions League football next season. Then again, we mightn't. But if we do have Champions League football, or even if we don't, really, it'd be just absolute pure madness not going for Matt Hummels. And the second centre half I'd love to see United sign is, I've seen him before, but I was watching him last night against Everton, is Dragovic. I think of the 5 names I have down here, he's the cheapest. So in that sense, it would have the smallest risk. Of the 5 names down here, definitely the easiest to sign. Would jump at the opportunity to come to the Premier League. I'd be mad not to. He's very good in the ball, seems nice and composed. Again, like Matt Hummels, seems to fit in perfectly. I think would be good cover for Rojo or Hummels. But I think I definitely want to see Hummels and Rojo as a centre half partnership. The other 3 names are all brilliant defenders. I think they're just all very pricey. Maybe that's what United need. But I guess I'm just worried because all 3 are very young for their age. So first, Marquinhos. Looks a proper athlete to me. Very strong, very quick. I think it's just suited to the Premier League so well. And I think maybe at PSG he might get a bit frustrated. Luis, Thiago Silva, maybe the first choice centre half partnership. Might look for the opportunity to be the unquestioned first choice centre half at, again, possibly a Champions League club. Second is Varane. My biggest worry about signing Varane is basically doing any business with Real Madrid, is that I don't think we get to sign any player from Real Madrid without De Gea being part of the deal. Love you, man. He hasn't done his reputation any good in recent weeks. Real Madrid have been all at sea at defence, but I definitely don't doubt his ability. Great in the ball, great presence, and like Marquinhos, a great athlete, perfectly suited to the Premier League. The last one and the last player I'm going to discuss in this video is Laporte, or I think that's 99% sure that's how you say his name, at Atletico Bilbao. As we learned over the last couple of summers, they're not the easiest club to deal with transfer-wise. So high price and a lot of drama, I would guess, if Herrera is transferred, anything to go by. Then again, Herrera is at the club, so it might be easier to sign, already knowing that his fellow Basque player is at the club. I think he would be very... Or, what am I saying? Never mind. Forget I said that. That's stupid. He would be pricey. I would imagine £25 million plus, and no less. He's great in the air. Like Marquinhos and Varane, I would be worried that he'd be young. So I think he'd be too expensive to buy as the main summer transfer, defensively wise. So again, I could point back to Hummels. But one thing I would like to point out about Laporte that maybe the others don't have as much is his appearance record. He has played almost every minute this season, and when you think of Smalling, Evans, Jones, injury records absolutely diabolical. And even just to have a defender who's fit and able to play every week would make such a difference alongside Rojo. So just a quick summary. Out of goalkeepers, I'd like to see Lloris. Out of this right back, I'd like to see Seamus Coleman, and out of defenders, I'd like to see Hummels and Dragovic. And if we weren't able to get Hummels, I'd probably go with... It's hard to choose between Marquinhos, Varane and Laporte. Any one of those 3 and Dragovic. But I think Dragovic and Hummels, definitely. So thank you for watching, and subscribe and share.